today we're doing something else for that container garden, and I've still got some of these left. Nice rigid pots, and they've got lots of holes in bottom, and I've just filled it with a bit of compost. Not hot weight at the top at the moment, but this is some compost that I had outside. I put it outside last year and I dug into it lots of chicken manure, and it's been there all year. Just kept turning it now and again. So this will now be really nutritious compost. So we've moved some into this tub, then we'll top dress it with a bit of finer stuff, and then we'll get us planting. And I'll show you what plant we're using. So we're going to put one of these in it, and it's a garden pearl tomato plant. You might not have heard of them, but basically what it is a bush variety cherry tomato plant. So they don't grow huge. It's called a determinate tomato. And there's two types of tomato plant: bush tomatoes or dwarf tomatoes are determinate plants, and that's because they will only grow to a certain size. So in this pot, probably about that big, and then the cherry tomatoes will grow right outside. And what happens with these type of plants is they'll grow through the summer season, and then they'll set their fruit. Once they've reached a certain size, they'll set all their fruit all at once, and then they will ripen over about 2 to 3 weeks, and then that plant is done. That's a determinate type of tomato plant. But your regular type of tomato plant, Moneymaker, Alicante, they're an indeterminate tomato plant, which means that when you plant them, they're a vining plant. So they'll grow, set fruit, grow again, set fruit, and they'll just keep going and going and going until frost kills them at end of year. So that's the difference between the two plants. Determinate sets its fruit all at once when it reaches optimum size, and this one will just keep growing and growing and growing and setting fruit at different times as it's growing. Just in case you didn't know that. So we've got all this pretty much set up now, and even though it has got that extra manure in it, I'm still going to add a little bit more. So I'm just going to add a little bit of fish blood and bone to it as well. Not too much. And I'm just going to mix it a little bit. Just make sure it's nicely distributed. And now I'm just going to top it up with some more compost. And as always, we want to leave a gap between the level of compost and top of container for watering purposes. Then I'm just going to level it off a bit. So now we've got a really nice, slightly compacted level bed. And as I always do, same size pot, and then make your hole with it. And you can see that this little plant is already trying to grow flowers so it can set fruit. And something else that might be worth mentioning is when you see these little side shoots coming out on a normal tomato plant, the indeterminate kind that basically grows until frost kills it, we always pull these out, take them off. Otherwise you end up with a big plant that gets out of control really quick. So we always say the side shoots or the suckers need taking off. When you're growing a determinate plant like this that only grows to a certain size, don't take those off, leave them on, because it needs lots and lots of branches growing so it can form a bush, and then it's going to set all those little cherry tomatoes in one go. So the more branches on this type of plant, the more fruit you're going to get. And that's why we do these especially in containers, because they're perfectly suited for growing in containers or even hanging baskets, as you would with something like a tumbling tom, cherry tomato plant. So if you've got a nice sized basket, you can just pop one of these in and hang it up, and your tomatoes will all grow down the outside. I've done it quite often in the past, but for the purpose of the container garden, we're going to try one in a pot. So, straight in, really simple to do. You can also bury the stem a little bit if you want, it's up to you, but this one's grown quite compact, so I don't really think there's any need. Also, these type of plants don't need staking, because they only grow into compact plants. They won't fall over or anything like that, so they'll kind of grow up a little bit and then out, and they'll basically support themselves through the entire season. So in a pot like this, planted, job done. And when this starts to flower more, when it's a bit bigger and it starts to get more branches on it, you want to give it a diluted feed, a tomato food, every 14 days. So let's get this watered in. And because there's nothing better than handfuls of fresh cherry tomatoes through summer for your salads, I'm going to plant 2 of these. So exactly the same thing as before. A zone compost that's got chicken manure mixed in with it. Then top it up again and level it out. And we'll get this straight in as well. They've got nice little root systems on these as well. There's nothing winding around the bottom, they're nice and loose, which is perfect. We'll get that in, firm it down, and then get to water. And that's as 2 bush cherry tomato plants sorted out for container garden. And these 2 plants will provide enough cherry tomatoes for me and wife for pretty much the whole season, and they're taking up no space at all. I've got another little plan as well for this afternoon that I need to do in beer garden, so I'll make a little video of that as well, and I'll pop it on later on today. So if you want to see that video, see what I'm going to be doing, then just hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and I'll see you later on. You all take care.